All right, you guys, back for another video. Currently in week 12 of the program, San Diego Code School. So this week we did some work with back in React, doing some Redux work. Redux is pretty complex stuff. It's no joke what they say. There's a lot to wire up, but it's worth it if you have a larger application. So the last two projects I just finished was a budget tracker, which was kind of a workshop into Redux, which was highly beneficial because I relied on it a lot to do the next one, which was a weather application, which takes, I'm kind of looking at it right now. So I just submitted it last week, actually on Friday or something. So that app uses Redux, and you kind of have some buttons pre-populated up top, with values, let's say San Diego or Hanford, where I'm from. That's what I wanted to populate that. You click the button, it goes to and it takes that value of the button, let's say Hanford or San Diego, sends it to the Open Weather App API. We use promises as well, so you dispatched a promise, and what would come back would be either, it starts out as pending, and then it's either going to be fulfilled or rejected. So if it comes back fulfilled, it gives you back, you tell it to give you back the data, and then you map through that data and map it through your component to render the info from each section of the data that comes back. So there's search bar up top, pre-populated button. You could also search for a city. Then there's city information, which will render. I'm having it render humidity, pressure, temperature, even the little icon that comes back. So if it's windy, it's going to show a wind icon, or if it's rainy, it's going to show a rainy icon with clouds. So kind of a little app that'll show you if you'll ever need an umbrella. So it gives you back that current. So currently I have it set to just show me the current weather. The Open Weather API does a bunch of stuff, a 5-day forecast, I think even a 10-day, a bunch of stuff. And then there's another component that shows the search history. So one smart component, which is the search bar that then sends the API call, and then two other components that just listen for the state to update. And with Redux, there's actions and reducers. So an action is just an object, a JSON object of what's going to happen. Then the reducer is what's going to update the state. So you have the action, a dispatcher that dispatches that action, then goes to the reducer, and the reducer is what's going to update the state and return the new state. And the components listening to that will then render the newest state. Pretty complex. A lot of moving pieces, a lot more separation of components. One main root reducer that's going to hold all the reducers that you have set up. Each component's going to have, if it's a smart component, it's going to have an action folder. If it's a dumb component, it's just going to listen to state. So it's going to just have its own index.js. The folder structure is pretty big with Redux, but Redux is pretty stinking cool, and the dev tools are amazing. So highly recommended if you're learning that topic. Just do a tutorial. Hopefully I'm sure there's a bunch of apps you could just build off of tutorial. Probably a to-do app. I think I saw there's some to-do apps with Redux. Highly recommended if you're learning it to a guided. If you're learning something new, a guided walkthrough usually helps me out quite a bit. So yeah, I'd highly recommend that. Did have one problem trying to get one component to render, which was just looking into a nested array inside the returns info once it was fulfilled. So I had to ask two students. I like to ask other students just to see how they did it. After I struggle for a while, I'm going to try to struggle my way through it. If I can't do it, then I'll ask. And I asked two different students. They did it two different ways. Just goes to show you how many different ways there are to do one thing. And and I just chose the one that I felt more comfortable with. I chose uh, a ternary operator to render most of the city information components or the actual line items. Um, so yeah, ternary operators. If you don't know what they are, look it up. They're really clean, basically if statements, if else statements that um, take a question. Then there's a question mark, and then if it's yes, that's the first section after the question mark. Then there's a colon, and then if it's false, render this portion. So they're just super, super clean. So what else? Yeah, biggest value or biggest challenge was getting that value to show up, um, and the ternary helped make it appear. Um, just looking at some notes here. Um, that's about it. I think the one I'm going into now is a movie finder, which we did a movie finder in the first learning section in Node, but it was just a back end for it, no front end. So I'm going to have to try to integrate that code into this new React movie finder, try to mesh those two together. I've never taken like a whole section of code I wrote earlier and trying to integrate into a new app. So that'll be pretty fun. Hopefully it all works. If not, we'll make sure it works. But that is the last project. So I'm feeling excited and still, it's still pretty nerve-wracking because I don't feel like I know that much. And it's a boot camp. It's a 12-week, when it's all said and done, maybe it's like 15, 16-week program. But when I hear other YouTube videos and, little tutorials, I understand what they mean most of the time. So I have learned a lot. There's a lot to learn. I've learned a little bit, and it's pretty exciting, and nerve-wracking at the same time. I'm excited to get out there, but I know I have this movie finder one, and then there's a group project, and I think another student is where I'm at. So I think we're going to team up, and I think we're actually going to work on a customer project because 2 other students that are finishing the program, they were working on it for the last like 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks. I think it's 4 weeks of this group project. So now we're taking over where they left off. So I'm super excited to start on that, just because I like working directly with another student. I feed off of what they know, and hopefully they can feed off what I know, and it'll just help me fine tune what I know plus what I don't know and what I have to go work on and fine tune. So pretty excited. We're getting close to the end here. So yeah, it's overwhelming, but it's a good feeling to know that I'm almost done and I could, get myself out there. So I'm going to start going to try to get to all the meetups as far as the JavaScript ones. I think there's 3 meetups. There's a BYOP, which I normally attend, a bring your own project JavaScript meetup. There's a fundamentals JavaScript one that I've never been to, just because it lands on a meeting day that my wife has a meeting to attend, so I have to take care of the baby. And then there's another one which is not fundamentals. Anyways, there's another one that I've been going to. So there's 3 main ones. So I have to start definitely getting to those every month. So yeah, guys, we're getting to the end. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week with another update.